Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Middlegames series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we're taking a look at the game between rofChade and SlowChess from the TCEC Season 22 Division P. There's a certain type of engine game that I always enjoy, and those are games where the better side plays all over the board, alternating games on the queen side and the king side and in the centre to bring the game to a victorious conclusion. And well, you'll see why this lovely game, won by rofChade against SlowChess, appealed to me. White's got a very nice dragon type position. Black's dark squared bishop has been exchanged, which reduces black's chances for counterplay, and indeed also the position of the bishop on c4 gets in the way of black's typical counterplay with rook c8 takes c3. So the one thing black's got going at the moment is well, a bit of central play, threat of d takes e4, which would open up the line of the rook, destabilize white's position a bit, and also possibly at times maybe the move e5. So well, rofChade starts the fun with a lovely first move, which sacrifices a pawn in order to well, completely block stimmi black's counterplay. And that's the move e5. So after queen takes e5, well, first of all, black no longer has the idea of going d takes e4, so the d file remains closed, and also the queen is in the way of the advance e7 to e5. So yeah, that black counterplay is temporarily stopped. So having done that, white starts the kingside offensive. We've had a move in the centre, now we're going to the kingside, and well, the pawn is thrown to h4, just with the idea of in the future having a quick h5 to open up the centre. So black plays king h8, trying to get out of the way of future white play, really trying to keep that king a little bit safer. And yeah, I mean, after a move like h5, I mean, we have got ideas like going g5, for example, just to block the g file, and maybe also have something like rook g8, you know, just to defend the g7 pawn, defend the g5 pawn. So what white actually does here is switch back to the centre and play rook e1, queen d6 and queen e3, which took me very much by surprise. Just you've played h4, you had a queen and the rook on the h file, and now you're switching back to the centre. But the attack on this pawn is very, very unpleasant. First of all, you know, switching back to the centre doesn't stop white from carrying on with h5, and of course with the king on the h file, if you do manage to get an h takes g6, that might be quite nice. Black won't be able to take back with h takes g6. And secondly, yeah, I mean, this really is a threat. I mean, if you take the pawn on e7 and exchange off queens, then you're just going to be much, much better in the resulting endgame. So black has to do something about this pawn. In the game, SlowChess played rook e8, which is, I guess, probably the most ambitious, really trying to play the move e5 here. In my engine games between Berserk and Stockfish, black was tending to play rook d7, and yeah, this was quite nice actually, h5, and now all of my engines were playing the move e5, which is giving up a pawn in order to exchange off the queens. If you play a move like rook e8, threatening e5, which is not stupid at first sight, we just play hg. fg is necessary here. Obviously hg, queen h6 check is going to be painful very, very quickly. fg and then g5, knight h5, b3, kicking the bishop away, and then knight e6, just establishing the knight on e6. And we've got queen d4, we've got knight takes d5, even rook takes d5. So I mean, it's all completely horrible for black. I mean, these minor pieces are awful as well. So yeah, e5 was played by my engines, and then we got this ending. Rook e8 takes, and then yeah, I just thought it was finished off in classic fashion. I mean, white is clearly better here. It's mainly due in actual fact to the terrible position of this bishop on c4, which is going to be kicked back to a6, and then d5 is very hard to defend. But there's also other problems as well, and h6 sort of really points them out to black. This pawn on h6 very strong, pinning the king to the back rank, and also really fixing h7 as a potential weakness in the ending. And this went just very, very smoothly for black. b3, king c1, rook e1, king d2. I mean, so many moves for white to improve its position here. Knight d1, very nice idea. The knight is coming. Can you see where it's coming? It's coming e3, g4, f6, and this pawn on h7 is going to be absolutely terrible. So knight d6 played. Black, tries basically to fight this, but then the first pawn goes, and well, black does a miracle really to get the bishop active. But then, the ending just ends up being absolutely appalling. And the beautiful thing is that white can simply exchange off the rooks, and then just leave himself with an extra pawn on the queen side to create a passed pawn, and then this terrible structure on the king side that white can target. And well, the way that it finished off was quite thematic, really. Just create a passed pawn here. Not quite sure why. Typical engine thing, really, allowing this b takes a5. But it doesn't really matter, and then just the transfer of the knight round to f6, and h7 will go rather, and the h pawn moves forward. A very smooth and thematic game from Stockfish there against Berserk. But I mean, it also happened the other way around. I mean, actually, in all the engine games I ran from about move 17, 18, I think white won 98% of them basically. So rook e8 was played by Slow. b3, bishop a6, g5, so a move on the queen side, move on the king side, and now a move on the queen side again. And again, it shows very, very good flexibility from white here. Really playing all over the board here, now exploiting the fact that the rooks moved from d8, so there's very little protection of the d5 pawn. So now we can just actually go ahead and win it. Now, very nice little accurate move here. The queen is forced back to g3 with the idea that a later knight e4 is going to gain a tempo on it, which is a very nice little idea. You obviously can't take the pawn on h4 here, because then we've just got knight c7, and well, we're going to pick up the rook here, and it's just going to be a total disaster. So queen g3 played. Rook takes d5, knight g7, knight e4, gaining the tempo. Again, queen h4 would allow knight c7. So the queen goes to h2. And now this lovely move h5. So we've played on the queen side centre, and now we go back to the king side. What's the idea of h5? Well, the idea is simply to use this pawn to further disrupt the black position. I mean, if you take it, for example, with a knight here, we get in queen c3 check, king g8, knight c7, which is again, a move on the king side h5 allows something on the queen side with queen c3, knight c7. It's really, really lovely. Your attention keeps on switching from side to side. Not easy to do for a human. You do tend to focus on one side basically when you when you play games, and switching is quite hard. The lovely idea is that not rook ed8, but if you go rook ac8 here, just to pin the knight, and well, if knight takes, I can take the queen. This is met by the lovely move knight d6, as Berserk played against Stockfish in the game. And if ed, we've got rook takes c8 check, so you're just picking up the exchange there. And well, one nice variation is takes, and then knight takes e6, because rook takes c3 allows rook d8, checkmate. So after h5, black tried to remove a little bit of white pieces. Queen h5. So yeah, I mean, what have we got here? I mean, black's still keeping the material balance, but white's really in complete control. I mean, black's got no counterplay against the white position, and well, this rook is very powerful. Black is rather tied up. Now, I mean, the only thing that could happen is that this knight could come to f5 and kind of keep the black position together, at least defend the critical e7 pawn. So actually, that's white's next idea. Just play c4 and then knight g3. Just exchange off the opponent's active pieces, leave black with passive pieces. And after this move, then actually, look at the black pieces. Rook's on the back rank, queen actually hasn't got a square, and white rooks and queen all active. And of course, you know, we've got this huge queenside pawn majority. The black kingside pawn majority is very nicely held back, a combination of white piece pressure and pawns. Yeah, you know, the white queenside pawns are ready to roll here. So after king f8, we got a bit of subtle play here. Queen f4, queen d4, queen f4, bit of playing around, and then king b2. And essentially, you know, white's plan is simply to advance those queenside pawns whilst black is very passive. And of course, you know, the impressive thing is that you know, I think, you know, for a human play to say clearly better for white, possibly winning. You know, and the engines are already at +5, +6. You know, the normal amazing thing about evaluations there. So rook e2, a very nice little move, just threatening rook to h2 and then hitting h7. So queen f5 played, and then queen e5. Probably the easiest way there, just to you force the exchange in this way, and well, there's no way that the black king side is going to get active there. You know, it's the most restrictive line, and now the c pawn runs. So after rook d2 check, king a3, rook c2, king b4. All we're interested in really is that this c pawn goes up to there, and then we play rook b8. So not even worrying about the a2 pawn for now. a4 played, king a5. There were a lot of these sort of marches in my engine games, sometimes even with the queens on. And Berserk in particular was very keen just to shove its king up, whatever was happening. f6, rook e7, rook c5, king b6, rook f5, rook h7, and well, black's just dead in the water here, and this didn't take too long to finish off. So a really, again, lovely game from rofChade there, and again, you know, just this type of game I really enjoy, where you're combining, you know, multiple, well, you know, all the whole board together. You know, actions like this, pushing on the king side, retreating, then you know, pushing again, pushing on the queen side, capturing in the center, then pushing on the king side again. You know, really beautiful whole board play. You know, there's a whole chapter on this in the Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, my new book. And yeah, I mean, this is really one of the things we really saw in AlphaZero Stockfish, and well, something that that all the top engines, you know, master quite beautifully. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that. If you like the video, why not give a like or subscribe to the channel, and even take a look at the new book, The Silicon Road to Chess Improvement. But otherwise, well, keep on watching Division P in TCEC Season 22. Thrilling stuff's going to happen. Who's going to qualify for the super final between Stockfish, Komodo Dragon and Leela? And well, thanks very much for watching the video, and hope to see you next time.